Yes, I'm back. It's Nads for another episode of Build Biology. The only thing I love more, or equally as much as a good Honda, is a good time attack car. And my boy, Cole Powelson. How are you, sir? I'm gonna give you a little knuckle pound there. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for making the trip. I love the fact that you didn't even clean this thing. So what is this all over the car here? The splatter is from what?
Victory. Champagne Victory.
Champagne Victory.
Yeah, it's fresh off the racetrack. Like, we loaded in the hauler, came straight here, and it is battle proven. It's a 2010 R35. It was in Hurricane Sandy. It was completely submerged in salt water, and it still had the dealer plastics on it. So hadn't even been delivered. You see all the crazy wings and big aero on it. We had the concept, the drawing there initially, and then we built everything else around that.
Hold up.
It's March. That means one of the best holidays of the year is right around the corner. St. Patrick's Day. You're gonna be obligated to do a couple of things. Wear green, drink as if your life depends on it, have a good time with your friends, sing Irish songs that you have no idea what the meaning is. Most importantly, not throw up in a cab or Uber on the way home. To take care of a few of those obligations, we here at Hoonigan have devised this St. Patrick's Day rain jacket. It's green so people won't pinch you, or slap you, or suplex you onto a curb if it happens to be late enough in the night. It's waterproof. So when your friends come back from the bar, a reckless hot mess, and spill Irish car bombs all over the table, you're protected. And 3, it's fresh as Get yours today at hoonigan.com. We have a limited quantity and it's while supplies last.
Let's get into the aero. This is not the right car for time attacks.
Terrible choice.
What is the weight on this?
3,700 pounds.
3,700 pounds. It's not a particularly feathery car.
No.
It's also not a particularly aerodynamically enhanced vehicle either. It's a bit of a brick aerodynamically.
It is. The guy that originally came to me with the R35 Dream, I said, please don't do it. We don't want to be doing this. I love GTRs, don't get me wrong. I've got R32s, and that's the car we should have started with. One of the big challenges with this car is it's also a Pikes Peak car. So time attack's nice and really predictable, and you can shrink down those cooling packages, but Pikes Peak does not allow that. In Pikes Peak trim, we have a large water radiator in the front and 2 large water radiators in the rear. We run 3 oil coolers, 1 Laminova heat exchanger, 2 transmission coolers. You can't have enough cooling at Pikes Peak.
Getting back to the aero again, I know Andrew did some crazy stuff on the sides here too. Notice the doors, you only have half doors on this. Now why is that?
Packaging around the aero. Everything was based around the aero. So if you look behind the wheelhouses there, you want to create front downforce, you got to get the air from behind the wheel out.
That's a huge element where you want air extraction coming
Absolutely.
out.
Everything was built to the World Time Attack rulebooks. That was the standard for time attack. We use that to dictate a lot of parameters on the chassis, but huge gains to be had with front downforce with doing wheelhouses like this.
I also want to point out these little pieces here, these little side plate extensions. Now you can see it, that little carbon fiber and honeycomb piece, that's actually a disposable piece from my understanding.
Yeah.
So you can see the wear on the front of it now.
Yeah.
Now what is that for?
It's a low friction skid. It's a thermoplastic called Tegris. I found it in NASCAR country. The NASCAR guys use it on their splitter. It's super durable. We learned a lot about splitters, what works and what doesn't work, and the ride heights that you want to run in order to achieve max downforce efficiency is on the ground. And so you got to have something to protect the carbon fiber, otherwise it just blows it apart. We put these replaceable skids on, and when we're in max attack, low ride height, we will replace the skids every single hot lap.
Really? Let's talk about the wheels here now. What wheels are these?
CCW, 18 by 12.
18 by 12s, square.
Yep.
And then what tires here?
Yokohama slicks. So both of our major wins against HKS and at COTA this past weekend, we're on Yokohamas. There's other compounds available that could be better for us.
And when you say other compounds, this is a medium compound, and they have a soft and a super soft as well.
They do.
You kind of want something that's more in a motorsport slick because it handles more downforce than a radial tire, correct?
Correct, and it's got a wider operating range. I like the control tire that they have at World Time Attack, but you have to be that much more precise with your setup and how you drive it. But I much prefer on the heavy car to be on a true slick.
This wing, this is what's known as a triple element wing, because you can see like 1, 2, 3 elements to this wing. And this is not one of Andrew Brilliant's Infinity wings, though, that he's using.
We're old school.
You know, you guys have the old school
Yeah.
setup. Do you want to switch wings? Do you see a benefit in using that wing?
Yeah, we talked about doing Infinity wing upgrades to the front splitter. This is one of Andrew's triple element standards.
Completely.
But it was one of the first generations. It's overbuilt. We wanted it to be strong, you know, rather than light. Right before my record lap at COTA, I went max attack on the rear wing. And
Really?
nobody thought it would go faster.
I was going to say, I wouldn't
My
think
crew
so in
guys
COTA.
tried to trim it out. I'm like, no, guys, trust me,
I
turn
feel
it
like
in.
COTA is a low downforce because you need that speed
Right.
along that front. And you'll maybe set it up a little loose, kind of like what an Eastern Creek setup would be, where you kind of want to let the car dance a little bit to get those speeds down those long front straights, but you actually added downforce from the
I honestly
207.
have not gone faster by removing a rear wing.
This is the Freedom Tunnel. This essentially could be even deeper and even bigger than what you normally do, but you'd have to cut into the floor pan. I love the way that you guys not only have one of the heaviest cars, but also one of the cars that's true to the spirit of Time Attack, and then greatly appreciate that.
Yeah,
So.
no, we play by the rules, man. This is a production car game. If it wasn't sold on a showroom floor, it's not going Time Attack Racings.
Oh, no, I didn't even look inside. There's your half door there.
Ta-da!
Cage is drawn over mandrel.
Yep.
Yep, no, all chrome moly cage. I kind of wanted to ask for a ride along here. How is that not going to happen? So
You can straddle the fuel cell.
that's the fuel cell. Now you guys move it there, obviously for weight balance now. So
Yeah.
you're trying to get it more centered in the
Packaging.
thing. So what sort of capacity do you have?
12-gallon fuel cell.
12 gallons. That's
Electric power steering, dry sump, factory instrument cluster, just the business side, none of the flammable bits. Motec C187 dash paired with a Motec ECU and a Motec PDM keypad that you see there.
how heavily are you relying on that during a banger lap?
Dude, I can barely hold on the steering wheel.
So it's tough to
I
see
program warnings.
that. Okay. Racetech seat.
Yep.
Hans device compatible. Carbon Kevlar setup, and then you have essentially separated bulkhead there. Super safe. Love that. Who did the cage work? You guys did this all in-house?
All in-house. This
yep.
car is all built in-house. Not by me, a bunch of talented dudes that work with me. This isn't going to win any car shows, but we're after track records, not car show awards.
So completely excited about looking at this car. Completely forgot to get under the hood. We're talking about the engine now.
The story on this engine's kind of sad. It ended up letting go, made great power before we went to Pikes Peak in 2017. First day of practice, it spit the crankshaft out the bottom.
This is a VR38 DETT
Yep.
that's been converted, stroked out to a 4-liter.
Yeah, just
correct?
just over 4 liters.
A little over 4 liters.
4.5. We had the crankshaft crack check, Magnaflux. It was all good to go. Let go on the first day of practice at Pikes Peak 2017. So we scrambled around and actually found a stock crankshaft for an R35. And a guy down in Australia, Phil Laird, he hand fit without all the right tools a stock crankshaft to this engine to get us back out. For race day, we missed the rest of the practice week. It was like the totally wrong part for this engine. Our compression is effectively 6.5 to 1.
On this built motor at a 4-liter, you're like 10.5 to 1, probably.
9.5.
9.5
Yeah.
to 1. So you have like a little bit of a higher compression ratio
Yeah.
on it, longer stroke connecting rods,
Yep.
bigger pistons, stroked out motor,
Yep.
and now you're running, essentially, you ran a 3.8 liter stock rod.
Yeah,
stock-
less than stock
Yes.
compression. So everybody laughs at us. You know, we went to T1 to have the Motec sorted out. We told him what the compression was, and he was like, I have nothing to base that off of. Nobody's run that low compression on anything ever. We're still running it. It works, and it's got a track record, you know. It's a stock crank. We'll hang it on the wall. We'll say this has got the record at COTA.
In a perfect world, what would this have with this 4-liter package here? So what are we
We've made
looking at?
1,200 on the dyno.
1,200 on the dyno with this
Yep.
thing. 1,200 horsepower from a stroked out VR38. Still maintains the twin turbos.
All
correct?
off the shelf parts, nothing fancy. You know, we run the AMS Alpha 10X with Garrett turbos. We ran a stroker crank that was recommended from AMS, but we timed it out. It was time. It drives like a street car as far as the integration between the engine and transmissions. It's getting really well sorted, and it has a ton of off-the-shelf parts, stock location turbos, and there's really not much to do to these engines. They're very well sorted. Making power hasn't been the big issue. It's the integrating with the other components in the car, which is why we have a factory instrument cluster in the thing. It was why we ran the factory ABS, but it wasn't plumbed into the system. It was, we're trying to make everything work, and Motec was working hard, but they were just further behind on their development than we were with the rest of the car. You try to use the stock ABS with this level of downforce, and it freaks out. The Motec has finally caught up to the level that we're at and performing at. They're making 3,000 horsepower in stock blocks. Weird amounts of power coming out of these. This is the new 2J. You know, I was a 2J guy for a while, always, you know, wanted one of some of my dream cars, but this far surpasses the capabilities of the 2J.
So you've essentially run the 207 record breaker at COTA. You did it on a wounded engine, essentially.
Wounded engine, used tires, mid-level boost. I know that we've got a few more seconds in it, and I know we're not even the top 10 time attack teams in the world, so expect to see sub 2 at COTA in the next couple of years. Love
to see that. I want to get it up on the rack now, and now we're going to see what's underneath this. You know, hold on, before I even get started, I just want to talk about like how cool this external air jack system is.
We can impress every true gearhead with the external air jack.
Completely.
These are traditional air jacks. These were the air jacks in Frank, our endurance race GTR.
Yep.
It doesn't work with the flat bottom floor and some of the aero modifications we made. And so I said, there's got to be a better way to jack these cars up and down, because we would literally spend hours getting the car on and off the lift. As you guys just saw, we can get it on the lift in a matter of minutes. We can also put in wheels here to roll the thing to the start line at Pikes Peak with tire warmers on it. So we can have the tire warmers on to the very last minute. You simply put nitrogen to it. It's adjustable independently left to right. You can lift up one side or the other. You can put a floor jack underneath there and just jack it up traditionally. You work on it nonstop, and makes your life that much easier, and you get style points from the guys you appreciate.
Are these the, as Hurt would say it, the Johnnies that failed you at M1 Concourse?
So that was a super cheap brake switch that was actually, it was damaged in the fire. So we had an engine fire.
Yep.
Cheap hose that we had on the dry sump that burst, which caused electrical issues, which caused ultimately our brake switch to fail, and we lost the complete front brake circuit. So the brakes themselves, super sweet.
GT3, Nissan GTR?
Yeah, it's the Brembo Motorsport caliper.
Okay.
The OEM rear caliper, Brembo Motorsport in the front.
Stock caliper and stock setup and everything. I recognize the gold caliper.
Yeah, completely stock.
I also recognize a certain color here. Cole, what are you doing? Are you trying to qualify for the FD grid here? What is this? Show me what this is.
So this is WiseFab's development package for the R35. We kind of met the max of the OEM suspension components within the first couple of years of development. I got in contact with WiseFab. You know, we've pretty much dominated the drift world. We're looking to make some more grip kits. We worked with those guys to develop this, and it's an off-the-shelf package now. You can go to WiseFab and buy it for any street car. It bolts in the factory locations. We use just a regular shock absorber that anybody else can buy as well. Every component you see on our suspension, you can go to a catalog and buy. There's no funny stuff going on, and clearly it works.
Another familiar color that I see here. What is
the original
this
gold
thing?
Olin's dampers, man.
Yes,
you got to have them. So we've tried a couple other quality dampers, but keep finding myself back on Olin's.
So super adjustable. These are internal valve?
Yeah, so it's a TTX base damper. So we have high speed and low speed rebound and compression on both of those settings there. There's an internal and external adjuster. Nitrogen canister there. We run Swift springs, and they're quite stiff to keep the thing off the ground.
Now this little piece, excuse the red cup here, but this little piece, what am I looking at there? What's that little dealie?
That is a shock potentiometer,
Yes.
shock pot, if you will. We've got them on all four corners. Gives us critical data about the suspension and loading. Through the motion ratio and the spring rate, you can calculate, and this will give you a certain distance so you can figure out how much downforce you're making, how much wheel travel you're actually producing, and it's been a big part of figuring out how to get this thing to work.
Now here we're getting into the front cooling.
Currently our cooling system in the front is made up of some engine oil coolers and our intercoolers. We have no water cooling in the front at this moment. We've got a Magnus Motorsports dry sump kit, T1 pulley, alternator, that's all we run off the front of the engine. We ditched the AC, you know, we thought it was a good idea to get rid of that.
Is this what I'm looking at here? Is this my freedom tunnel
This
here?
is the beginning of the Freedom Tunnel.
This is it. This is where it starts here.
Yeah.
Huh?
So you see, it's stock subframe, stock engine location. There's really not much to it here. So we get a little bit better cooling through the transmission tunnel here. And back to the transmission, we have stock drive shafts, front and rear, outdated Cobb cooler adapter over there. They quit making, but we had a few from the other car that just adapt it out to run. Up here you see the Laminova cooler.
Oh, yep.
And that is water and oil mixed together. So we use the water to cool the transmission as well as an external cooler, but the water helps bring the transmission temperature up to operating temp sooner.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd be sitting in the pits forever waiting for it to get hot. You know, if I had all the money in the world, yeah, I'd do a couple things different, but we've got great partners developing great products for this platform, and it'd be silly to go out and reinvent the wheel, you know. We just took a bunch of high quality products and worked with people who knew what they were doing already to, you know, make this happen. And it's a race car. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but functionality trumps everything when it comes to track records for us, and that's what we're in pursuit of.
So there you have it. I'm going to say here, like, want to go fast in time attack? Don't start with a GTR. Or should I say, want to go fast in time attack? Do what these guys are doing. Lyfe Motorsport, Cole Powelson, thank you so much for coming in. I would cheers you, but you've finished your drinks already, so I'll just give you a little knuckle. Thank you so much, Cole.
Thank you.
$250,000 car, $100 worth of
I didn't sell it to you at half price.